Hi, I'm Rob Rutledge. Just a quick video for the facilitators of the Skills for Healing Weekend Retreat. First of all, I want to say that there's enough material here between the website and the different videos and the book that really you can have a good feel for your responsibility prior to the weekend. And it really, I think the most important thing is the attitude that we bring into the retreat. That we meet people where they are and we just aspire for them to heal in whatever way is best for them. And if we kind of have that container of love and compassion and caring, right from prior to the retreat and thinking about what's going to happen to the Friday afternoon when people are first arriving and so on, we're really there to serve others and just give our hearts in some way to them in their healing process. So I really think that first, the attitude is actually critical to it. The second thing, just to decrease your worries or anxieties around your role around the weekend, is that throughout the weekend, I'm actually telling everybody, the participants, the facilitators, exactly what's going to happen next. So even if you didn't prepare for the weekend retreat, trying to figure out what the exercises are and so on, that you'd be able to figure it out on the run. And we've had so many different facilitators over the years with so many different backgrounds that I know that if you have a good heart and some people sense, that everybody with those skills could be a very, very good facilitator. So really, I hope that you can feel comfortable going into the retreat and just being in that space. In terms of the exact role, there's actually, the documents are there as well, and but really maybe I'll just touch on a few of the key points. So the opening circle, the facilitators are actually in the this large circle of chairs, interspersed every 7 or 8 chairs, kind of spread out. And then early in the process, I'll ask you to introduce yourself, your connection with the cancer community, your hopes for the weekend, and hopefully you can kind of model that degree of openness and heartfulness in your answer to that introduction. It's probably 45 seconds, a minute at longest for each facilitator to introduce themselves. And then during the opening circle itself, we really want people to be open and honest with their emotions, which means maybe even a quarter of people actually cry when they talk about their story and what's been most difficult. And the role of the facilitators, myself included, is to really listen and to be there and to honor those stories. Now, occasionally, if somebody's crying and the person beside them isn't putting a hand on the shoulder or offering a Kleenex, occasionally a facilitator can kind of hand a Kleenex box off, or some little gesture to say, we acknowledge the suffering that you're going to. But the point is that we don't want to kind of jump in and kind of stifle those expressions of emotion. We want to allow that tension, allow that space of healing to happen. So that's the Friday evening exercise. The facilitators will meet for debriefing just at the end of everything on Friday evening. The question will be, your feedback and any worries, any characters, anything that you heard that you're concerned about amongst the various participants. Saturday morning, actually participate in the whole retreat. So when we're doing meditation, when we're doing body scan, we're doing light yoga, etc., you're actually going to experience the weekend and participate in exercises in the same ways as the participants. So it's a very actually relaxing and engaging weekend from that perspective alone. The Saturday morning small group discussion is around stress, people recognizing their own stress reaction, their own triggers, their own symptoms of burnout, and what they can do to help themselves. From a facilitator's perspective, we want to kind of keep people on the goal of really the recognition of the triggers of their own unique stress reaction, because most people want to kind of jump away from that particular subject and go to, oh, well, this is what I do when this happens, but we actually want to focus them there. So typically, we would have people, one by one in the small group discussion, talk about what are their triggers and what are their initial stress reactions. So that would be the first go-around. The second go-around might be how they recognize when they're burnt out. And only after they've done that kind of good 30 minutes of talking about the deep dark stuff, in the last 10 minutes we more or less talk about what they do to help themselves in the stressful situations. Facilitator's role is also to identify one person within that small group near the end to say, are you willing to bring back some insight, idea, or pearl to the larger group? So it's really kind of coercing some brave soul to present some idea, and it's just an idea, not a summary of the group to the group. The Saturday afternoon small group discussion will be with a different group of people. Is mindfulness-based cognitive therapy. Highly recommend you watch the video around this or read that section of the book itself, because really only about 50% of people really get the concept that the situation and their thoughts about the situation are separate, and then this whole process of the 3 columns of reframing that thought, looking at their thought and finding a different perspective. It's a more difficult exercise, and so to be able to prod people in different options of ways of looking at their reality is really the secret around that, without giving too much advice. So one of the best ways to facilitate that one is actually have people go through their columns and discuss it. But really, we put the structure around those small groups. As long as people are talking from their hearts, as long as people are sharing their stories, then really that's, for me, a successful group process. We want somebody to come back with a pearl from that Saturday afternoon exercise. Then lastly, the Sunday morning is what we call the Fears and Hopes talk. It's a much longer exercise, trying to separate out the person who's had a cancer diagnosis from their loved ones, so they get into separate groups and so they can really share what's going on in their lives. And the secret, I think, to this one is actually, again, hold them to the difficult stuff. Keep asking the more kind of penetrating question. What it is about your fear that was most worrisome, or that type of probing question, so they can go into the dark stuff for the first third or even half of it, and not try to jump out into being positive, and just really honor each person's story that way. You don't have to get to the middle third, which is how your priorities have changed since the cancer diagnosis, but really to be able to balance off the difficult stuff, we like to people get to the third part, which is what are your hopes for the future as well. So again, and to bring back some type of pearl or idea from that group. So again, I explain all of this in detail throughout the weekend, and so it's much easier for you because of that. And lastly, I hope you have a wonderful experience around the weekend retreats. It's been life-altering for me over the years, and I really look forward to meeting you. And thank you again for volunteering and joining us around the weekend retreats.